Thomas, you were one of the big stars growing up in Germany. Tell us a little bit about how your game evolved and your development.
I grew up in Munich, but I never played for Bayern. I played for a bit smaller clubs like Unterhaching. You would know that. They play Bundesliga as well, but it's a smaller club, and it took me quite a while to get to the top level. And when I went from Unterhaching to Burghausen, I played third division. We got promoted, and that's when I made the national team squad, like under 20s, under 21s, and stuff like that. So I'm a bit of a late bloomer there.
But when it happened and you were getting all these accolades and people were touting you as one of the next best things in Germany, how did that impact on you and your career? Did you think about it a lot?
It's massive. Like it fills you with so much euphoria. I guess like you're so enthusiastic about it. Everybody's pumping you up, and you're a young kid coming from nowhere, and all of a sudden, all the big clubs in the league are after you. So that's a big confidence boost, and it really helped me in the beginning. But yeah, experiences that were about to follow weren't that positive.
In the German press, you were dubbed Mozart. Tell us how that came about.
Fairly early on, some TV show did a portrait on me, and I was listening to classical music in the car, and they interviewed my teammates about my personality and stuff, and they said, "Oh yeah, you can't really give him a lift or vice versa, because he's only going to listen to classical music."
How did it feel? Did you like it?
At first I did, because when it all went pretty well for me, people were like, "Oh yeah, he's that virtuoso guy, he's the artist," and it was fairly positive. But then when I went through my first major crisis, it turned into the opposite. All of a sudden it was like, "Oh, he's such a wannabe artist, he doesn't want to work hard, look at him, how fragile he is," and stuff like that. So I'd rather not have that nickname, seriously.
And you documented all this in a DVD, Tom mit Zizou. When did that start, and how that? Well, firstly, when did that start?
Pretty early on in my career. The director, he was after some young and promising players that didn't play Bundesliga at the time, because he wanted them right from the start. And so he approached me when I was playing for Burghausen, really tiny club, and I was just about to make the under 20 squad. And yeah, that was 8 years ago, or no, 10 years ago now. So yeah, pretty early in my career.
So when that happened, how was it when you were interacting with the players and the coaches? Did that affect your performances or your training or anything?
It does put a lot of pressure on you, and I did not realize that in the beginning. I thought it was only positive thing for me that I get the attention, and it was an interesting project for me, getting to talk about stuff that you can't talk to normally. Like you can't really talk about stuff behind the scenes on a daily basis to some random media guy, right? So it was fairly appealing to me. But then it turned out quickly that the other players didn't like it that much, and even the coaches were pretty suspicious about it. And yeah, like I said, it added a lot of pressure.
And when you decided to finish it here in Australia, when you were playing for Brisbane Roar, was that always something you planned, or to just do it for 8 years, or did you plan to finish it somewhere, or was it just a spur of the moment thing?
We didn't know how or when to finish it, so as soon as I signed the contract in Brisbane, it was like, yeah, this is kind of a good moment, because all the way through I was always talking about playing abroad, and the director said, yeah, this now finally happens, so we should make this the final year of the documentary. And the way it turned out, it was like a fairy tale, going unbeaten for 30 games and winning the trophy and everything. So it was pretty lucky there, I guess, from a dramatical point of view.
Are you looking to add to it at all, or is that it?
Nah, as proud as I am, I'm so relieved now that it's over. It's not easy having a camera team follow you around for such a long time, and always having to comment on things, and heaps of crises as well. And I feel really free now, and yeah, I'm happy with it that way. So there won't be any part 2 or anything like that.
So did you ever think that you'd end up in the A-League?
Not at all. my dream was to play in Italy or France or whatever, but then yeah, my career went downhill, and I met a girl that used to work as an au pair in Sydney, and so it all came together. We had our off season. I went to visit her, fell in love with the country, and yeah, just looked into the option of maybe playing there for a couple of years, because I really didn't enjoy that much anymore in Germany, and I wanted a new experience, a new challenge, and a fresh start, and that's all Australia could offer me, and yeah, I never regretted it. It was just beautiful from the start.
So you've signed a new 4-year contract. Was a lot of the thought behind it because you love the country so much? Do you see yourself finishing here?
I do actually. When I went home this summer, I was considering all the options, and the fact that I'm so happy here made it fairly easy for me to commit for another 4 years. I was looking into maybe playing in Europe again, or maybe even going to Asia and stuff like that, but then I said, why would you put it at risk? For once you're happy, you're really enjoying what you're doing, and yeah, I just feel so comfortable here, and yeah, that's why it was an easy decision for me to extend my contract.
So when you went back home, could you gauge what the feeling is about the A-League from Germany?
Yeah, surprisingly there is quite a bit of interest. The media really picked up on it when we went on that streak. It was for the first time, and then obviously getting the award for best player and all that. So it was always in the magazines and journals and stuff. So there was a fair bit of interest. Some of my friends now, they even watch the games on the internet. They get up in the morning, which is pretty early because of the time difference, and watch the game. So it's pretty cool.
So is that interest specifically on you, or do they actually have interest in the A-League as a whole now?
It started off as interest in me, but now that Del Piero, for instance, signed, or Emil Heskey, people really become aware of the league, and I'd say all of a sudden Australia's on the football map, like for those who are really interested. And yeah, I get quite a few emails now, players inquiring about clubs in Australia, lifestyle in Australia, money as well, because they wouldn't have a clue, like, can I make a living or whatever. No, it's funny because even quite high-profile players rang me up and wanted to know what it's like and considered a move to Australia.
So how do you view the standard now in Australia? How has it evolved since the first time when you played your first game?
When I first came here, I was pretty surprised how physical it was. And watching the games now and some of the teams' approaches, I'd say out of 10 teams, 8 teams really try and play some decent football now. So there has been heaps of improvement. I mean, obviously we started it off at the raw, but that philosophy has really sunk in now. And to see some of the teams play at the moment and see some of the young talent in the country, it's pretty amazing now.
What about the structure that we have in there? How far away or far behind are we compared to somewhere like Germany?
I'd say it's a fair bit because of the youth system. Like I get that feeling whenever new players join our club, it takes them a while to learn all the tactical stuff and really getting used to life as a professional footballer. And like somebody that goes through the system in Europe, doesn't really matter if it's the Netherlands, Spain, Germany, whatever. They're 10 years old and they're getting all this already, so by the time they turn 17, 18, they're pretty much complete footballers already. And yeah, Australia is missing that. So there's some individual talent, but it has to be more systematic, I guess.
And just talking about your role now as a player in the Raw system, it's a little bit different this year. Are you happy with the way that you're playing and where you're playing?
I am. I think it's not that important where you're playing, it's how you perform as a team. And yeah, obviously we've been struggling a little bit, but we're hoping to get back on track. And what coaches always say is really true: when the whole team does well, then every single player will look pretty amazing too, and we gotta get there again. And that does not happen overnight. We need to put some hard work into that and turn it around slowly.
What do you feel the difference is this year? Because you've been back-to-back winners, you've dominated the league for the last 2 years. Obviously teams are catching up. What do you put it down to?
I'm not a big fan of having one explanation or one reason for something to change. There's been a few factors. I guess obviously we've got a new coach, so we needed to adjust there. Yeah, from a player's perspective, I guess we gotta be critical with ourselves too. We won the title twice in a row, and everybody was maybe expecting things to just go on like this. And you know what it's like in football when you're just missing 5% of that determination, that desire, then all of a sudden you're not top anymore. And that's an experience, a rough, really tough experience that we had to make this year.
And what about your own game? How has that evolved since you've come through the youth system in Germany, one of the top youngsters, now you've come to Australia. How has your game improved or evolved here?
I guess my work rate has never been like this. I put it down to a few things, like the style for one. Of course, it's a different sort of football, different brand of football here, so it's much more running. And the fact that I get to play week in, week out, which I haven't had my entire career, that helped me big time. So yeah, it's so important for every player to create some sort of momentum, and I certainly did achieve that here.
Do you feel that defenders now target you more because of the first 2 seasons that you've had, and they know a lot more about you?
Yeah, obviously they watch our games and they learn, and like you said, every team raises the bar, and the new level is entirely different. It's heaps better football, and yeah, it's more difficult to find space, and yeah, it's a new challenge every day, every game.
How do you think the Raw will end up in the end of this season? Do you think you can turn it around?
I guess we do have the potential. My only worry is that it might be a little late. Like, it would really be good to grab one of the 2 top spots, but starting a season that slow makes it really, really hard. But I guess we just have to look at the big picture. So even if it takes us another 2 or 3 games and then getting back to where we were, then it's still all right, because we all committed for the longer term. Coaches, the players that signed, and yeah, I never know. It's hard to say what we can still achieve this year, because like I said, we remember what we've done in the past, but it's not gonna happen like this again. So things don't change overnight. Could happen because we're still the same players, and we know how to win a title, but maybe we need some patience this year.